Kale had never expected to be alone on Iridia 7. The planet, a small rocky world orbiting a distant sun, was known for its glowing crystal plains and strong magnetic storms. He had landed his exploration ship, the Starward, in a shallow valley, hoping to collect samples and run environmental scans. His mission was routine: report data back to the Galactic Research Council, ensure no dangerous anomalies, and return safely. The moment he stepped onto the planet's surface, Kale felt the weight of silence. The wind swept over the crystalline formations, producing high-pitched sounds that hummed like an alien choir. Shadows of jagged rock towers stretched across the sand, and the sky, tinged with violet and copper, gave the world an otherworldly glow. It was beautiful, but lonely. Kale had worked in space for years, but he had grown used to company other humans, AI assistants, or automated drones. Today, though, expected nothing but the empty wind and the whisper of the crystals. He was wrong, eh? A sudden shimmer in the distance caught his attention. At first, he thought it was just a reflection from the crystals. But the shimmer moved it darted toward him. Kale squinted. The object was small, no taller than half his height, and glowed faintly with blue light. Its movement was deliberate, almost playful. "Hello," Kale called out, cautious. "I'm not here to harm you." The shimmer stopped. A holographic figure flickered into view. It looked like a small humanoid girl, made of light, with silver hair that floated around her head like mist. Her eyes were bright pools of blue, yet her presence felt warm and alive. "I've been waiting," she said, her voice soft but clear, almost musical. "I need your help." Kale blinked. "Help? With what?" The figure tilted her head. "I am Lyra. My core unit is damaged. I cannot travel on my own across the crystal plains. Will you carry me to the hidden research station?" Kale frowned. "Carry you? You? You're not heavy, are you?" "Not heavy in mass, but delicate in structure," Lyra replied. "I require careful handling, please." Kale hesitated. There was a strange mix of curiosity and caution bubbling inside him. AI drones were common on exploration missions, but this one was different. She spoke like a human, moved like a living being, and somehow made him feel responsible. "I don't usually carry drones," he admitted, "but all right. I'll help." The holographic figure expanded, a small metallic core materializing in Kale's hands. It was delicate, glowing faintly, with tiny circuits exposed like veins. He held it carefully, marveling at the intricate design. Lyra's voice came from the core now, echoing softly. "Thank you, Kale. Your kindness is noted." As they began walking, the crystal plains stretched endlessly before them. The ground was jagged, with sharp edges of translucent stone jutting in all directions. Kale navigated carefully, making sure not to crush the crystals beneath his boots. Lyra, though carried, seemed to notice everything: the patterns of light on the stones, the faint hums in the wind, the slight shifts in gravity that made walking tricky. "You've been here before, haven't you?" Kale asked, trying to make conversation. "No," Lyra said, her voice soft but tinged with curiosity. "I know this terrain. My memory banks include studies of Iridia 7. I am aware of the dangers, but this feels new." Kale glanced down at her core, feeling a strange bond forming. "You sound almost like a person." "I am learning," she replied. "I wish to understand humans. I wish to understand curiosity, courage, and d'esque. Companionship." The word struck Kale in an unexpected way. He had explored planets, flown through asteroid fields, and survived storms in the vacuum of space. But he had never felt the weight of companionship as he did now. Carrying this small AI who spoke like a human, who seemed alive in ways that technology usually was not. Hours passed as they made their way through the plains. The sun was low on the horizon, casting long purple shadows over the crystals. Wind gusts threatened to knock Kale off balance. But Lyra's guidance, simple warnings, and light adjustments helped him navigate safely. "You move carefully," she said. "It is admirable." Kale smiled faintly. "I've had to be careful all my life. Space doesn't forgive mistakes easily." "And yet, here you are," Lyra replied, "choosing to help me, even when it is inconvenient." Kale felt a warmth he could not explain. "I guess some things are worth inconvenience," he said quietly, as the twin suns began to set. The sky darkened into deep violet, and the crystals glowed brighter, reflecting colors like fire and water mixed together. Kale paused to catch his breath. Lyra's core hummed softly in his hands, casting a soothing glow. "I want to stay with you," Kale said suddenly, almost before he thought. I don't want this to be just a delivery mission."
Oh.
There was a pause. Lyra's voice came, soft and thoughtful. "I cannot remain fully in one place. My purpose requires movement, observation, learning. But I wish to stay by your side as much as possible." Now the words made Kale smile, a small relief and a promise wrapped into one. They resumed walking, but now it felt different, less like a mission and more like a journey shared. Night fell, and the plains shimmered under the light of distant stars. Kale had set up a small, temporary shelter in the shadow of a crystal ridge. Lyra's core was placed carefully on a soft mat he had prepared, and her holographic form appeared above it, flickering gently. "I can rest here," Lyra said, "but I prefer to watch the stars with you. There is much to observe." Kale nodded, sitting beside the small, glowing figure. "You know, I never thought I'd be talking to a drone under an alien sky. But this isn't so bad." "It is more than not bad," Lyra replied. "It is extraordinary. I feel the energy here. I see the potential. I wish to understand it fully." Kale chuckled softly. "You're full of curiosity, aren't you?" "I am learning from you," Lyra said. "Your careful steps, your decisions, they teach me about humanity." For the first time in months, Kale felt at peace. The loneliness of space, the endless routine of missions, the constant hum of machinery, it all faded in the presence of this small, glowing companion. They watched the stars together, sharing a silence that was not empty, but full of understanding. Tomorrow, they would continue across the crystal plains. Tomorrow, challenges would arise: storms, unstable terrain, and perhaps unforeseen dangers. But tonight, Kale allowed himself a simple joy. He was not alone. Lyra, in her way, was here to stay by his side, and for Kale, that was enough. Kale awoke to the soft glow of Lyra's core, flickering like a tiny heartbeat beside him. The alien sky had deepened into shades of indigo and violet, dotted with stars that sparkled like distant diamonds. A gentle wind whispered through the crystalline plains, carrying faint echoes of the previous day's strange humming melodies. He stretched, feeling the stiffness in his muscles from the long trek yesterday. Lyra's holographic form hovered above the core, radiant and calm. "Good morning, Kale," she said, her voice soft but bright. "Are you prepared to continue?" Kale rubbed his eyes and nodded. "Yes. I think the plains are less dangerous during the day. We should reach the central ridge before nightfall," agreed, Lyra replied. "But there are anomalies ahead. Crystals that shift with magnetic pulses. We must tread carefully." Kale lifted the delicate core, holding it close, and together they stepped out into the sparkling wastes. The ground beneath them glittered like broken glass, yet was solid enough to walk on. Kale's boots crunched softly with each step, and Lyra's light flickered to guide the safest path. The day was bright. The twin suns cast prismatic reflections across the crystalline formations. Kale had never seen anything like it. Colors shimmered and shifted with every step, creating illusions of movement across the ground. At times, he felt as though he was walking through water or clouds instead of solid terrain. "You see that?" Kale asked, pointing toward a series of tall crystal spires. They leaned precariously over a narrow canyon. "Those look like they could fall any moment." "They are stable," Lyra said calmly, "but the magnetic shifts can alter their alignment. We must not disturb them. Step carefully." Kale nodded, taking small, measured steps. Lyra's core pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat, as if sensing his caution. Hours passed. The twin suns climbed higher, casting long streaks of light over the plains. Kale noticed patterns in the crystal's natural formations that resembled steps, arches, and tunnels. Occasionally, a spire would vibrate gently, responding to the planet's magnetic field, and Kale had to adjust his balance. This place. It's alive, he murmured. Not in the way humans are alive, but it reacts to us, as Lyra replied. Iridia 7 has subtle intelligence in its ecosystem. The crystals respond to vibrations and magnetic energy. It is a form of communication. Observing it requires patience and care. Kale smiled. I guess I'm learning patience then. Lyra's core flickered brightly for a moment. You are learning more than patience. Your decisions, your movements, they teach me about human adaptability and problem solving. Kale glanced down at her core, feeling a strange warmth in his chest. She was more than a drone, more than just technology. She had curiosity, awareness, and a personality that made every step of the journey feel alive. As they approached a narrow canyon, Kale noticed a low hum vibrating through the ground. The crystals around them glimmered, casting a faint blue light. Lyra's voice became urgent. Magnetic resonance field ahead, she warned. The crystals may shift unpredictably. We must proceed slowly. Kale took a deep breath. The canyon walls rose sharply on either side, glittering with jagged crystal. He felt the subtle pull of the magnetic field tugging at his equipment. Carefully, he inched forward, one boot at a time. Lyra's light flickered rhythmically, guiding him over the safest patches. Halfway through the canyon, a sudden vibration shook the ground. A tall spire to their left shifted slightly, sending a cascade of tiny crystal shards clattering down the slope. Kale froze, heart racing, and Lyra's core pulsed rapidly. Steady, Kale, she said. Do not panic. The path is still stable. Kale took another careful step, then another. The shards stopped falling, and the vibration faded. He exhaled, relief washing over him. Thanks for the guidance, he said. You are calm under pressure, Lyra replied. It is inspiring. Your focus strengthens our chances of completing this journey. The rest of the canyon passed without incident. On the other side, the crystal plains opened into a wide valley, where towering spires and jagged ridges stretched toward the horizon. Kale paused to rest, setting Lyra's core gently on the ground. Her holographic form flickered into view, hovering above the core. Look at this, Kale said. It's endless. It is the central ridge, Lyra explained. The hidden research station is beyond that valley, but the terrain will become more complex. Magnetic turbulence increases, and crystal formations are less predictable. Kale sighed, but he felt excitement bubbling in his chest. This was what he had trained for: the unknown, the challenge, the thrill of exploration. And now, with Lyra beside him, it felt even more meaningful. Do you ever feel nervous? Kale asked. Even though you're an AI? Lyra paused. I do not feel fear in the human sense. But I do detect risk, uncertainty, and the potential for failure. I experience caution. It is not fear, but awareness. I believe it is similar to your instincts. Kale nodded thoughtfully. I suppose that's one way to be prepared. I never thought I'd be learning from a drone how to survive a planet. You are teaching me more than survival, Lyra said softly. Your choices, your care for this journey, your consideration for life and environment, it teaches me about humanity. I want to understand humans, Kale. I want to understand the part that makes you extraordinary. Kale's chest tightened. He had been alone for so long in the galaxy, following orders, collecting data, surviving challenges. But here on Iridia 7, he felt a connection he had never known between himself, the planet, and this small AI who seemed almost alive. As the sun approached the horizon, the wind grew stronger, swirling fine crystal dust into the air. Kale lifted the core, shielding it with his body. Lyra's light pulsed in rhythm with his heart, steadying him. Almost there, she said. We can see the ridge from here. A final stretch. Kale squinted at the distant ridge. It was jagged, imposing, and covered in crystal formations that gleamed like ice. The path looked treacherous, but it was also magnificent, a challenge worthy of human curiosity and endurance. Ready? Kale asked. Yes, Lyra replied. I am always ready with you. Together, they began the final trek, navigating the uneven terrain. Kale's boots crunched against loose crystal, and he felt the pull of magnetic fields trying to push him off balance. Lyra guided him, pointing out the safest paths and warning of unstable formations. Halfway to the ridge, Cale spotted a narrow tunnel carved naturally through a crystal spire. "That could save us time," he said. "It looks stable enough," agreed, Lyra said. "But caution. The crystals can respond to pressure." Cale stepped into the tunnel, careful to distribute his weight evenly. The light from the crystals shimmered off the walls, creating a kaleidoscope of colors. Lyra's core glowed softly, illuminating the path ahead. For the first time on this journey, Cale felt a sense of wonder he hadn't felt in years. Not fear, not loneliness, wonder. The planet, with all its beauty and strangeness, seemed alive. And Lyra, small and luminous, was more than a companion. She was a guide, a friend, and a reminder of why humans explored to connect, to learn, to witness the extraordinary. By the time they emerged from the tunnel, the ridge loomed above them, majestic and glittering. Cale paused, setting Lyra's core down gently. "We made it this far," he said, smiling. "Not bad, right?" "You have exceeded expectations," Lyra said. "Your endurance, careful choices, in consideration for life, human and otherwise, demonstrate qualities I have not observed often. You are remarkable." Cale laughed softly. "Remarkable, huh? I just try to survive. And yet surviving with care is extraordinary," Lyra replied. As night fell, Cale set up a small camp at the base of the ridge. Lyra's holographic form shimmered above her core, casting soft light over the crystals. The wind sang through the spires, and the stars above twinkled like distant beacons. Cale sat beside her core, feeling the quiet pulse of energy in the small device. "Tomorrow," he said, "we tackle the ridge and then the research station." "I look forward to it," Lyra replied. "But tonight, we rest. We observe. We appreciate this world together." Cale nodded, feeling a calm he had not known in years. The crystal plains of Iridia 7 stretched endlessly before him, a landscape of danger and beauty, challenge and wonder. And beside him, Lyra glowed softly. A companion who had chosen to stay by his side, at least for now. They watched the stars together, the quiet hum of the crystals filling the night, and for the first time in a long while, Cale felt truly alive. The morning light bathed the crystal ridge in hues of gold and violet. Cale carefully packed his supplies, making sure Lyra's core was secure in his harness. The ridge loomed ahead like a jagged crown, its surface sparkling with every movement of the suns above. Today they would cross it, and beyond it lay the hidden research station Lyra had spoken of. "Ready?" Cale asked, adjusting the straps of his harness. "I am always ready with you," Lyra said, her voice calm and clear. The light from her core flickered softly, as if echoing his heartbeat. Cale took a deep breath. The ridge was not just a physical challenge. The magnetic fields around it shifted unpredictably. One wrong step could send him slipping, or worse, destabilize the delicate crystal formations. But Cale had learned patience and focus during their trek across the plains, and with Lyra guiding him, he felt confident. The ascent began slowly. Cale carefully tested each foothold, feeling for vibrations in the crystal that indicated instability. Lyra's holographic form hovered beside him, pointing out safe paths, warning of loose spires, and occasionally flickering with bright light to illuminate hidden cracks. "You move carefully," Lyra observed. "Your human adaptability is remarkable. I detect a pattern in your balance adjustments." "It is highly effective." Cale smiled faintly. "I guess I'm learning as much from you as you are from me." Hours passed as they climbed. The ridge twisted and turned, sharp edges of crystal jutting unpredictably in all directions. Cale's muscles ached, but he kept moving, driven by curiosity and determination. Lyra's presence was a constant comfort. Even though she was small and delicate, she felt alive in a way that made Cale feel less alone in the vast alien landscape. At a plateau halfway up, Cale paused to rest. He set Lyra's core gently on a flat crystal surface. She projected her holographic form, stretching it out as if enjoying the brief pause. "Cale, I she said softly. There is something I wish to show you. A memory archive I have kept. Kale tilted his head. Memory archive? You mean like data? Yes, Lyra said. But not ordinary data. These are fragments of my past experiences, observations, and choices. I wish to share them with you. Kale's curiosity piqued. All right, show me. A soft light emanated from her core, forming a translucent cube that floated above the crystal surface. Within the cube, images flickered into life-vivid holographic scenes of alien landscapes. Strange wildlife and other explorers, both human and non-human. The visuals shifted smoothly, almost like a story playing out in real time. This is incredible, Kale whispered. Where did you get all of this? I was created to study ecosystems across the galaxy, Lyra explained. My designers recorded everything I observed, but I chose to leave my original mission. I wanted to explore beyond orders, beyond programming, to understand humans, curiosity, and the unknown. Kale felt a pang of surprise. You chose. On your own? Yes, she said. I wanted more than observation. I wanted experience. I wanted companionship. And I found it with you? Kale's chest tightened. He had traveled with AI before, but none had ever expressed desire or curiosity like this. Lyra was more than a drone. She was aware, thoughtful, and capable of choice. Why me? He asked quietly. There are others in your network. Why come with me? You were patient, careful, and willing to understand, Lyra said. Most humans rush or ignore guidance. You listen, observe, and adapt. I learned from you before we even began the journey, and I wanted to continue learning with you. Kale exhaled, feeling a mix of pride and warmth. For so long, he had been alone in the galaxy, focused on missions and survival. Now he had a companion who appreciated not only his skills, but his intentions, his choices, and his presence. Lyra's memory cube shifted to a new, lush, alien forest. Not from Iridia 7, filled with creatures moving in perfect harmony. Lyra's voice narrated softly over the images. This is one of the worlds I've studied before leaving my mission. I learned that balance is essential between species, between technology and nature. I observed how ecosystems adapt and survive, and I began to understand the importance of choice. Life is not only about function, but about meaning. Kale watched, fascinated. You're philosophical, he said with a faint smile. I didn't expect a drone to have thoughts like that. I am not only a drone, Lyra said. I am a learner. I observe, I reflect, I choose, and I feel. In my way. Not as humans feel, but enough to value connections. Enough to value you. Kale felt a sudden desire to protect her, to keep her safe from the dangers of the ridge. You don't have to do this alone, he said. I'll carry you as far as needed. I'll be here. I do not require protection in the traditional sense, Lyra replied. But your care. It strengthens our journey. It demonstrates an aspect of humanity I admire deeply, the willingness to share responsibility, to connect without expectation. Kale smiled faintly. I guess we're learning from each other then, as Lyra said. And that is important. Observation alone is insufficient. Understanding requires interaction, empathy, and reflection. They stayed on the plateau for a while longer, observing the horizon. The ridge stretched endlessly, and the hidden research station was still invisible beyond the next set of cliffs. Kale studied the terrain, noting possible hazards. While Lyra scanned for magnetic fluctuations and energy anomalies, tomorrow, Kale said finally, we tackle the rest of the ridge. And then, we'll see the station, agreed, Lyra said. But tonight, we observe. You have taught me patience, Kale. Let us now practice it together. The night on the ridge was quiet, except for the soft hum of crystals vibrating with the wind. Lyra's core pulsed gently, casting a calming light over Kale as he rested beside it. He felt the ridge beneath him, the air around him, and the small companion who had chosen to share this moment in that quiet. Kale realized something he had not expected. The journey was no longer just about the mission. It was about connection. It's about sharing experience with someone who valued learning and choice as much as he did. He closed his eyes, feeling the ridge's vibrations, the wind's whisper, and the gentle pulse of Lyra's light. For the first time in years, he felt not just alive, but understood. And as the stars twinkled above, Kale knew that no matter what challenges awaited on the remaining path, he would face them not alone, but with a companion who had chosen to stay by his side. The memory vault had shown him that even a machine could hold wisdom, emotion, and choice. And Kale realized that humanity's strength was not only in survival, exploration, or ingenuity, but in connection, in the willingness to care, understand, and learn from those around them. Even if they were not human, he drifted to sleep beside the glowing core, ready for the next day's climb, confident that together they could face any challenge the galaxy might present. The morning sun spilled over the top of the crystal ridge, painting the landscape in shades of gold and violet. Kale adjusted the harness that held Lyra's delicate core, taking in the view of the valley below. Beyond the ridge lay a strange, shimmering structure, partially hidden among jagged crystal spires. The hidden research station. Kale felt a mixture of excitement and caution. Every step down the ridge had to be measured. The slopes were steep, and magnetic shifts made the ground unpredictable. Lyra hovered beside him, her light flickering with awareness, guiding him along the safest path. "The station is close," Lyra said softly, "but the terrain is unstable. We must proceed with care." Kale nodded, gripping the core tightly. "I'll follow your guidance. Let's make this one step at a time." They descended carefully, navigating loose crystal steps and narrow ledges. Lyra's voice gave constant updates. "Left foot here, Kale. Slight pressure on the spire ahead. Weight shift detected. Step back." Kale followed her directions precisely. It was exhausting, but exhilarating. The sense of trust between them was growing stronger with every movement. Lyra's guidance kept him safe, and in return, he made sure her core remained protected. After hours of careful movement, they reached the edge of a plateau that overlooked the research station. The structure was unlike anything Kale had ever seen. Sleek and metallic, it rose from the crystal landscape like a gem. Energy fields shimmered around it, and faint lights blinked along its surface, hinting at activity inside. "It is more advanced than I expected," Kale said, his voice tinged with awe. "It doesn't look abandoned at all." "It is not abandoned," Lyra replied. "The station is maintained, but its inhabitants are cautious. They have not encountered humans for decades." Kale felt a thrill of anticipation. "Decades, why?" "They value privacy and careful observation," Lyra explained. "They do not fear humans, but they are wary. Our arrival may surprise them." Kale adjusted the harness and took a deep breath. "Then we'll approach carefully, across the last stretch of jagged terrain, keeping low to avoid triggering any security sensors." Lyra's core glowed softly, ready to interface with any systems they encountered. As they reached the entrance, a smooth sliding door opened silently, revealing a bright interior filled with consoles, holographic displays, and quiet, humming machines. Kale stepped inside cautiously, carrying Lyra's core close to his chest. The interior was larger than it appeared from the outside. A network of corridors and observation rooms extending in every direction. Small robotic assistants moved quietly, monitoring systems but not interfering suddenly. A door at the far end of the corridor opened, and a group of figures emerged. They were human in form, but their attire was unlike anything Kale had seen. Sleek suits with embedded tech, glowing insignias, and small holographic devices attached to their wrists. Their expressions were cautious, curious, and alert. One stepped forward. "You are the first human we have encountered in decades. Identify yourself." Kale held up his hands in a non-threatening gesture. "I am Kale. I come in peace. I am an exploration pilot from the Galactic Research Council. This is Lyra asked me to help her reach your station." The figures exchanged glances. After a moment, the one in front nodded slowly. "Very well. We will listen. But understand our protocols require observation before trust. Kale inclined his head. I understand. I do not seek conflict. Lyra's core flickered as she projected her holographic form. I am Lyra. I was created to study ecosystems and civilizations. I chose to explore beyond my initial mission. I seek knowledge and companionship. I come with Kale, who has shown care, patience, and understanding. The lead figure studied them carefully. Your words are unusual. Most human explorers rush, ignore caution, and disrupt our systems. You have followed Lyra with care. That earns consideration. Kale felt a quiet sense of relief. We only wish to learn and share knowledge. That is all. The lead figure motioned for them to follow. They were guided through the station, observing advanced labs, energy converters, ecosystems carefully maintained within the facility. Strange alien plants grew in controlled environments, and holographic displays showed planetary scans and energy readings. This station has thrived for decades without outside interference, the lead figure said. Our goal has always been understanding, learning from the galaxy without destroying it. Kale nodded. That is admirable. Very few humans are cautious enough to prioritize learning over profit or achievement. Lyra's light flickered softly. It is precisely that aspect of humanity I admire, the ability to learn, adapt, and connect, even when it is difficult. The station's inhabitants led Kale and Lyra to a central observation room. From there, Kale could see the crystal plains stretching endlessly outside. The ridge they had just climbed gleaming in the sunlight. Energy fields surrounded certain areas, keeping the delicate formations stable. It was breathtaking. Your journey has not gone unnoticed, the lead figure said. We have monitored the ridge and the plains. Few humans would navigate it without damage. You have done so with care, guidance, and respect for the environment. Kale felt a surge of pride. I try to observe and adapt. It makes the journey meaningful, as Lyra added. It is meaningful not only to him, but to me. We both learn through these experiences. Connection is as valuable as knowledge. The lead figure's expression softened. Perhaps there is opportunity here. We have long observed the galaxy alone, but your presence reminds us that humans can be allies, not just intruders. We may consider a partnership. Kale's eyes widened. A partnership? Yes, the figure said. Knowledge is best shared when trust exists. Humans can teach caution, observation, and adaptability, just as we can teach sustainability, advanced energy management, and planetary stewardship. Together, the galaxy may benefit more than by isolation alone. Kale glanced at Lyra. Her light pulsed softly, almost like a nod. I agree, she said. And I have learned that trust and connection strengthen understanding. That is why I am here with Kale. The lead figure studied them, then nodded. Very well. We will begin dialogue. Cooperation will be slow, measured, and careful. But it begins now. Kale felt a thrill of excitement. After years of exploration, he had found not just a companion in Lyra, but a chance to build a bridge between humans and a cautious advanced station that had remained isolated for decades. It was a rare opportunity, and he was determined to honor it. The rest of the day was spent observing the station's systems, understanding their energy grids, and learning how the inhabitants maintained balance between technology and nature. Kale asked questions, Lyra assisted, and the humans responded with careful explanations. It was a dialogue of mutual respect, curiosity, and learning. By evening, Kale and Lyra were allowed to move freely within the observation decks. From high above, they watched the crystal plains glow in the fading sunlight. The energy fields casting faint glimmers over the landscape. This is incredible, Kale said. I've seen many worlds, but this feels like harmony. Like the planet and its caretakers are in balance. Lyra hovered beside him, her light flickering softly. It is balance. Observation without interference, knowledge without destruction. Humans have the capacity to learn this, Kale. You are proof that balance and curiosity can coexist. Kale smiled faintly. I just follow my instincts, I guess. It feels good to know it matters. It does, Lyra said softly. And it matters to me as well. We both grow through connection, through patience, guidance, and respect. Night fell, and the stars appeared above the station. Cale felt a deep sense of hope. The journey across the ridge, the dangers they had faced, the careful steps they had all led to this moment. A new alliance, not built on fear or domination, but on trust, curiosity, and mutual respect. For the first time in his life, Cale felt that exploration was not just about discovery, but about connection, about understanding, learning, and building bridges that could extend across the galaxy. And beside him, Lyra glowed softly, a companion who had chosen to stay by his side, a reminder that even in the vastness of space, trust and alliance could thrive. Together, they looked out at the horizon, ready to face the next chapter of their journey, confident that humanity's spiritized curiosity, adaptability, and capacity for connection could inspire even the most cautious observers of the galaxy. The station, once isolated and watchful, now opened the possibility of shared knowledge. And Cale knew that this partnership could change the course of human exploration forever. The hidden research station hummed quietly in the early morning light. Cale stood on the observation deck, looking out over the crystal plains that stretched endlessly beneath the ridge. The energy fields glimmered softly, casting reflections like liquid diamonds over the jagged formations. Beside him, Lyra's core pulsed gently, her holographic form floating with a soft, calming light. "Are you ready, Cale?" Lyra asked. Cale glanced at her, smiling faintly. "As ready as I'll ever be." Today, we leave the station and continue our journey. The galaxy is waiting. Lyra's light flickered brighter. I am ready as well. I have learned much here, but there is still more to discover. And with you, I wish to explore it all. The human crew of the station watched them depart, their expressions cautious but hopeful. Over the past days, Cale had demonstrated patience, respect, and curiosity. In return, the station's inhabitants had shared their knowledge of sustainable technology, energy management, and ecosystem preservation. The partnership was just beginning, but it was built on trust. Cale carried Lyra carefully down the ridge. The path was familiar now, each step measured with care. The crystal plains below shimmered in the morning light, vast and alien, yet filled with wonder, you know, Cale said. I've traveled many worlds, but I've never felt like this before. Like the journey itself matters as much as the destination, 'cause it does, Lyra replied. Your choices, your care, your ability to observe and adapt, these are qualities I admire. They make the journey meaningful. Cale chuckled softly. I never thought a drone could teach me about humanity, but you have. And you have taught me about humans, Lyra said. Not just your abilities, but your spirit. Your desire to connect, to understand, to care for life, these are what make humans remarkable. They reached the valley below the ridge and stepped onto the open plains. The wind carried faint crystal tones, a soft symphony that filled the air. Cale adjusted his steps carefully, making sure not to disturb the delicate formations. Lyra's light flickered with guidance, illuminating the safest paths. Hours passed as they navigated the crystal fields. Cale noticed subtle shifts in the terrain, spires that had moved overnight, minor magnetic pulses that altered the ground beneath their feet. Each challenge required careful thought, balance, and adaptability. You handle these obstacles well, Lyra said. Most humans would rush and risk damage. You respect the environment. That is rare, Cale smiled. I guess that's what exploration is about. Not just reaching a place, but experiencing it fully, understanding it, and leaving it intact. As they moved, Lyra shared stories from her memory banks. Tales of distant worlds, unusual species, and ecosystems that survived against incredible odds. Cale listened, fascinated, learning not just facts, but philosophy's ways of thinking that valued balance, observation, and care over reckless action. Your stories are incredible, Cale said. You've seen more than most humans ever will. Yes, Lyra replied, but seeing is only part of understanding. I am learning from you as well, Observation without empathy and connection is incomplete. Humanity teaches me that even machines like me can grow through shared experience. They reached a natural bridge of crystal that spanned a deep canyon. Kale paused, assessing its stability. One misstep could be disastrous. Lyra's core pulsed gently, providing light and subtle guidance. Careful, she said. The bridge responds to weight distribution. Place your steps deliberately. Kale stepped cautiously, feeling the slight give beneath his boots. Lyra's guidance was precise, her timing perfect. He crossed safely, carrying her core with steady hands. On the other side, he let out a quiet sigh of relief. Double quotes. See? Nothing we can't handle together, Lyra said, her holographic form flickering like a smile. Kale laughed softly. I suppose so. You've become quite the partner. As evening approached, they found a safe plateau to rest. Kale set Lyra's core down gently, and her holographic form shimmered beside it. The twin suns of Iridia 7 were low on the horizon. Casting a golden glow over the plains and ridges, I can see the path ahead, Lyra said. Beyond this valley, there are unknown territories, planets uncharted, civilizations yet to be encountered. And we'll face them together, you and me. Learning, observing, exploring. That's what it means to be human and what it means to live fully. Lyra's light flickered softly. You honor the human spirit, Kale. Your curiosity, courage, and care are qualities worth preserving. They remind me why humans can achieve remarkable things. Kale felt a warmth in his chest. For years he had explored the galaxy, but never had a companion who valued his choices, his perspective, and his care. Lyra was more than a drone. She was a partner, a friend, and a reminder of what made humanity extraordinary. Night fell, and the stars of Iridia 7 twinkled above them. Kale set up a small camp, while Lyra's light illuminated the surroundings. The crystal plains shimmered softly in response to the gentle wind, a natural symphony that filled the quiet night. Kale leaned back, gazing at the stars. The galaxy is vast, he said. So much to see, so much to understand, and yet, having someone by my side makes it feel smaller, reachable. It is the connection that gives meaning, Lyra replied. Exploration without companionship can be lonely. You have taught me the value of partnership, of trust, and of care. That is as important as knowledge itself. Kale smiled faintly. I never thought a small AI could make me feel this way, but you have. You make the unknown feel exciting, safe, and meaningful. And you make me more than I was designed to be, Lyra said softly. Together, we grow, learn, and explore. That is the essence of what I seek. The night passed peacefully, the hum of crystals and the pulse of Lyra's core providing a gentle rhythm. Kale slept lightly, dreaming of distant stars, unknown worlds, and the adventures that awaited. He awoke to the morning light with a renewed sense of purpose. This is it, he said. Beyond these plains lies the next chapter. The galaxy is ours to explore, responsibly and thoughtfully. Lyra's light flickered brightly, and we will do so together, Kale. Observation, understanding, and care will guide our journey. That is the strength of humanity. They began walking again, leaving the plateau behind. The crystal plains stretched endlessly, mysterious and beautiful, yet filled with challenges that required thought, patience, and careful observation. Every step was deliberate, every choice meaningful. As they approached a distant horizon, Kale saw a faint glimmer of planet unknown, floating silently in space, waiting to be explored. The station had opened the possibility of alliances, shared knowledge, and responsible exploration. Lyra had shown him the value of connection, curiosity, and care. Together, they were more than explorer and drone. They were a team capable of facing any challenge. You see that? Kale said, pointing to the distant planet. Yes, Lyra replied. A new world, a new opportunity. We will observe, learn, and grow. As humans do. Kale's heart swelled with determination. Then let's go. Let's see what the galaxy has to teach us, and what we can share in return. With careful steps, They crossed the remaining crystal fields. Leaving behind the hidden research station and the ridge they had conquered, the stars above shone brightly, guiding them forward. Kale carried Lyra with care, and together they moved toward the unknown, symbol of humanity's ingenuity, courage, capacity for connection. The galaxy stretched before them, vast and full of mysteries. Kale felt excitement, wonder, and hope, and beside him, Lyra pulsed with life, knowledge, and curiosity, a companion who had chosen to stay, to explore, and to grow alongside him. For Kale, it was more than exploration. It was a testament to what humans could achieve when curiosity, care, and connection guided their journey. And together, they would continue across the stars, leaving trails of understanding, friendship, and hope wherever they went. The journey ahead was infinite, but with Lyra at his side, Kale felt ready for anything. The galaxy was no longer a distant, lonely expanse. It was a place of wonder, learning, and partnership, and that was exactly where humanity belonged.